We are live for another show, and today's theme is avoidance. Avoidance and the cost of avoidance. It's one of those things that, considering the frequency, if you follow that kind of language, the frequency of 2026, how everything is being 10x. And what I mean by everything, I mean the truth. So, all the things that one could not avoid before 2026, it's become impossible. It's becoming impossible now in 2026. So all those things are rising to the surface saying, hey, it's time. It's time that we deal with all these things. It's time for us to stop avoiding, stop looking away, stop burying our heads in the sand and face this thing. And maybe you've noticed that in the collective of how we're a lot of us just can't look away anymore, right? A lot of us can't look away anymore. And so that's the theme for tonight. Well, right now for me it's morning, currently in Thailand. Me and my partner will be here for a little bit, and the new year started off pretty, I would say, lots of movement. We moved around a lot. Actually, we left Vietnam in end of December, and we were trying to find a piece here in Thailand, a little place to stay. And I always recommend don't don't be just traveling during the holidays without securing a place. And we know that, it's a rookie move. It still ended up perfect. But just let you know, people still traveling, okay? Regardless what the world is telling you, people are still traveling, especially around the holidays. In any event, things are now a bit more settled, and we're excited to get back into a routine and just, feel more settled. And so that's what I was dealing with in the beginning of the year, the constant motion, the moving, the, yeah, just looking at places and all that other stuff. But we are all good here. If you are catching the replay, let me know in the comments if you are. And if you're catching live, thank you for being here. Uh, and if this is your first time joining in, my name is Francis. And, on this channel, my hopes is to really help you stop with the overthinking, stop with the over analyzing, move from the self doubt, and begin living the life that you keep postponing. It's really what it is, and getting through all those fears and interrupting the patterns that maybe you find yourself constantly looping. And that's really what I'm here to do. So let's get started. I have my tea for this morning. It's a blend that I got in Cambodia. Can't really see it. It's like a blue green or something. You probably hearing the dog. It's Thailand life for you. There's always a dog on the streets, but we're just gonna continue. So the theme for tonight is why avoidance is getting more expensive in 2026. And so here's the thing: everyone says they want change. They want a different year, a lighter way of living, something to finally shift. And it's a genuine ask. It's a genuine need. The asking part, that's really the easy part. It's easy to say those things. What's harder is to actually admit what is happening right before people actually do something different. Because there's something that happens. Because often it doesn't feel like it's something dramatic. It doesn't feel like, oh, like this is the defining point. And sometimes it is for some people. It was for me. Um, and it doesn't feel like fear the way people expect fear to feel. Avoidance is very subtle. It feels quite reasonable. And so I want to start with one line. Um, just something, to sit with. Avoidance isn't doing nothing. It's actually something that you keep doing. So much so. I mean, so much so that um, what you repeat just starts to define you. And most people don't catch it when it starts. Like I said, it's subtle because avoidance doesn't show up as quitting. It shows up as, oh, I'll do it later. So let's talk about that for a moment. And let me know in the chat the one thing that you feel yourself that you keep avoiding and you wish that you could stop avoiding this thing. Share it in the comments if you're watching this on a replay. I'd love to hear what that thing is for you. Right? That moment where you just tell yourself, I'm not saying no. I'm also not saying yes. Or, I just don't want to rush this thing. Or I'll circle back when things are a bit more settled. I definitely said that a lot. um, you don't say anything yet. You don't decide anything yet. And something inside you starts to ease up. You're like, oh, my shoulders drop. You feel a bit more comfortable. Maybe not completely, but just enough. Enough to think, okay, that felt like the responsible choice, right? Felt a little bit good to me. And so that's why this pattern really sticks. And it sticks so well, y'all. Because avoidance, it doesn't come in hot. It doesn't scare you. It doesn't call you out. It really does sound like a thoughtful consideration. It sounds like, hey, I really want to be smart about this thing. I don't want to make the wrong call. I just need a little more time. It sounds reasonable, literally. And if you tell somebody else, they're like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I would definitely wait on that, right? Especially if you around other people who tend to do the same things that you do, right? Where that theme and pattern is alive in not just you, but in your friends, in your community, in your family. And so that language keeps you exactly where you are. Okay. And here's the part most people don't connect. Waiting isn't neutral. Contrary to popular belief, I don't even know if that's a popular belief, but waiting is not neutral. Time just keeps moving, whether you act or not. And the cost doesn't announce itself, it just runs quietly in the background. Every time you don't choose, your attention actually splits. I'm going to explain that. Part of you keeps track. You know exactly what you haven't handled, what you haven't decided on. Whether it's the conversation sitting in the back of your mind, the thing you keep meaning to deal with. I keep thinking about this thing. I know I got to deal with that. And then there's another part of you that stays busy and distracted. You fill up your days, you stay productive, but you stay distracted. From the outside, everything looks fine. Everything looks fine. But on the inside, there's no real rest. Because something in you is always monitoring what's unresolved. I'm going to say that again. Because something in you is always monitoring what's unresolved. I don't know about you, but that doesn't feel very fine to me. You know what we call that? We call that maintenance. Yeah, maintenance. Let me know if that part makes sense to you. Let me know if you can relate to that. It's a very common thing. Families do it, family dynamics do it. Like avoidance is a very universal thing. And if you're talking to somebody else, again, like I said, who's avoidant or fearful, they're going to loop you right into that conversation. They're going to validate that kind of movement, and it's going to insulate you. And when it does that, oh man, the years just keep piling on, and the cost gets heavier, gets more expensive. And so this is where avoidance stops being about a single decision. Patterns don't just affect outcomes, they shape identity. Like I mentioned earlier about it defining you, because you become that person that avoids. And so when you keep putting things off, you don't just delay the thing itself because we think, oh, it's just this thing. This is the one thing that I'm delaying. You actually start relying on circumstances and conditions to feel safe enough before you actually do the thing. You start trusting timing more than yourself. And hence what I said about earlier, like you start literally um, creating the conditions for your life to validate the thing that you're avoiding. This reminds me of Ram Dass, who says, like, when you are in a specific role and you're really tied and attached to that specific role, you have to find other people to validate that role for that role to remain in existence. Because if you don't, then you start questioning the role, and it challenges you and it feels pretty scary. So you need an army of people, of characters in your life that reinforce that role. And so you need an army of people in your life that reinforces that avoidance. And so again, you start trusting timing more than yourself. You tell yourself you'll act once the conditions improve, once things get better, once I have all the T's crossed, and the I's dotted. And over time, that really becomes familiar for you. So you become someone who waits for permission, who waits for certainty, for the right moment. And life just keeps unfolding, but you're not fully in it, right? You're not fully participating in your life. And it's not because you're not capable of doing that. I don't believe one bit that you're not capable, because we're all born with everything that we need to make this life the best life that we can actually live. And so, because you're constantly holding something that's unresolved in the background, and the longer that goes on, the more normal it starts to feel. It just feels like another day. And that's how people lose years without ever consciously deciding to give up on the thing. They don't quit. They just keep postponing. They keep waiting. They keep deferring. I remember I had this conversation with this woman, older woman. It's probably like maybe a year ago. And she was telling me how she wanted to move abroad. And she had joined all these groups, getting all the information that she needed, even paid for some of these groups. And 5 years later, she didn't move abroad. And she just woke up one day. Because sometimes what happens is like things just kind of like snap into place, like a light bulb just pops open. And it illuminates the idea that, wow, I thought I was doing this thing to get to the other side. of the life that I wanted to live, the thing that I wanted to create. And I'm exactly where I was when I started. Again, it's real subtle because the things, the behaviors that you do make it seem like something's happening sometimes. And we find out that it's not a lot of forward movement. And so this is why avoidance gets more expensive in 2026. Like I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the video, the frequency of truth is higher than ever before. We're also in the year of one, meaning a lot of cycles have completed last year. And so if there's a cycle that was trying to complete for you and you keep holding on to it into this year, it's going to be impossible, almost uncomfortable to continue holding on to it, moving on, moving forward. And so, yeah, 2026, man, I say this is a fake new year. I was listening to one of my favorite astrologists. Actually, she doesn't like the word astrologist. Favorite astrologer. And, you may or may not follow this stuff, but it was interesting what she said. If you look at tradition, I know this, I'm going off a tangent, but if you look at tradition, the new year um, starts in March, spring equinox. And so I say happy fake new year because the collective celebrates the new year. And if you celebrate around this time, that's totally fine, right? The January 1st ball drop kind of situation. But the astrologer was like, it's interesting how things, like how whomever decided when the new year was supposed to be, because a lot of things are decaying now, especially if you're in the winter season. I know it's not everyone's in a cold area, but the energy and the vibe is different around this time, regardless. I feel like where you are, even where we are in Thailand, it's a little bit cooler, it's a little bit brisk. The heat hasn't really hit yet. Feels good. But around the beginning of the year, that's when things are decaying, things are falling away. And so it's interesting that we're calling it the new year when it doesn't coincide with what's actually happening in nature, right? Nothing is being revitalized right now. Everything is deconstructing so that upon spring, which is the actual new year, um, that energy we can actually step into more in more alignment. But I digress. So happy fake new year to everybody. And if you follow it, no judgment. Like me and my partner were out celebrating with the Thai people. So it's all good. But yeah, so this is why avoidance gets more expensive in 2026. The stakes are just higher now. Your life almost feels like things are starting to feel like, okay, this can't continue. And it's not necessarily like something mystical is happening, although I always think something mystical is happening. Um, and it's not because you missed a sign, because again, the pressure is increasing. Everything moves faster now. I don't even sometimes know what day it is. Like the timeline, the energy is just moving so fast. And if you haven't noticed, the noise is even louder, and the expectations stack quicker. So what you don't deal with, it doesn't just fade away. It lingers, almost like a fog. It just lingers, right? The internal tension of leaving things undecided takes up more space. They live rent free in your head. And so the energetic drag is heavier. And the room for I'll hand it later gets smaller and smaller. And I feel like that's what people are feeling now. It's not necessarily a panic, although some of you might be feeling a bit of panic. It's not necessarily confusion, because I really believe that people know, right? I don't think awareness is the issue. I think it's the forward movement, but it's the compression. life is starting to feel a bit smaller. Okay. We're about to wrap it up soon. It's a short life. About to wrap it up soon. But let me know if this is starting to um, make sense for you, or if you're resonating with this, and if this is something that you're truly desiring to change. Okay. So I'm going to end it right here. Just one question that doesn't let you off the hook. What are you paying to keep this thing, whatever it is, unresolved? Now, I want you to think about it in time, in energy, and in attention. Because whether you deal with it or not, the cost keeps adding up. And so this is the point where most people try to handle it alone. They tell themselves, now that I see it, I'll be different. Things will be different. And this is genuine. Like you have that genuine desire, that genuine feeling that things will be different. And sometimes that works. There's a gumption behind that energy. And sometimes it doesn't last as long as we'd like. That's why AnKōrd exists, my new community, not for people who need more insight, but for people who are tired of circling the same things year after year. And so it's a 6-month container, has structure, feedback, live coaching. This is not for motivation, not for pressure, but a place where avoidance doesn't get to quietly run the show anymore. And if you're ready, it's there. And if you're not, that's information too, right? I always say everything that we do or we don't do, everything that we experience or feel, all of it is feedback. It's data that we can actually use to propel our lives forward. But either way, don't rush past the question I just asked. What is this costing you now? Okay. Um, Somebody said, caught the tail end. Thank you for the emails that got me into acting this week. Beautiful. I love to hear that. And if you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, Thrive, definitely do that. The link will be in the description. But thank you for spending the night with me or morning, wherever you are. Really appreciate y'all being in the community. And I will check y'all soon again, right? So every week I'll be dropping some videos. I'll try to go live more often, but you know how it goes. I'm leaning towards my capacity and all that other good stuff. But either way, I'm here. But the best way to stay connected is through my Thrive newsletter. And thank you for watching, y'all. And I will see y'all on the other side of change. Okay? And let me know in the chat. Answer that question. All right. Take care, y'all.